Okay, we have a breaking story. It seems that, gotta watch my language here, particular devices have been sent to public officials. This is breaking news. This is synchronicity for myself because I just completed a video where I showed a few clips from V for Vendetta. And the point that I was making there with regards to predictive programming and what I would call mainstream media messaging. And what I'm seeing here, of course, is this type of promoted fear of things happening to those, this is what's in the movie, that criticize the Chancellor. And so this is a fictional movie, and what's happening with V for Vendetta, not that I look up to that mascot or anything like that, I think it has some ridiculous elements. I'm looking at the movie from a more predictive programming angle. And so we see the persecution of the comedians and of the elements of the media and people that were speaking out against the Chancellor's police state that was brought out of the ashes of a immigrant crisis. This is a movie that was made at least 10 years ago. And so we see the rise in anger towards modern day comedians that I don't really think are really pushing the envelope in reality, but they are there to entertain some of the masses and anger some of the others. Is there a plan to almost encourage element of the masses to start doing certain things? So as I look at what is the top story right now, investigation into these devices turns towards Florida as more Trump critics are targeted. This is breaking news. We will take a look. Another thing that I want to mention at this time, I didn't do a video on it per se of the breaking news of Facebook deleting 800 pages. There is one called the anti-media, and there are a few others. They were removed from Facebook. They were Trump critics. One of them, which is not a great thing to do, it's a dumb thing to do, so InfoWars mocked them. They were celebrating InfoWars being banned, and then when they were banned, someone that was an Alex Jones critic was banned from Facebook. InfoWars report on their banning. It's just the whole irony of people reporting on each other's banning and one person laughing at the other, which isn't good mojo, and then being banned themselves. Now, there's a difference from stepping back from not laughing at someone else's downfall, but also stepping back from rushing to rescue them. You know, certain people out there that have portrayed themselves on YouTube to care about others in the truth movement for years have actually worked against a lot of people. So some people actually, unfortunately, dig their own grave, and we need to understand that. And then some people are worthy of our support. But getting back to this is reflectant, whether this is coming from the population or whether this is coming from something else. I'm not saying that we should discount that, but this is something that is taking place. The focus on Florida came as law enforcement officials around the country were scrambling for another day to respond to the mysterious and repeated discovery of the crude devices. The more devices were found in Delaware and New York, FBI said Thursday morning. 2 were addressed to Biden, and a third to Robert DeNiro. So in the last video, I was talking about anger rising towards particular politicians, and I was citing comedians in that case, but it's not limited to. A lot of people have been pissed off about Robert DeNiro with regards to various things that he said. There's anger at other people. I guess LeBron James is getting a real chewing right now on Fox News, for daring to say the things that he said. So there's a lot of really aggressive messaging taking place. I just want to articulate, I was trying to make the point, said a mouthful of things in the video warning people about Portland. I've never seen violent protests or skirmishes between any group like what I'm seeing from, example, the Mike Blue Hair YouTube channel and specific videos, also Robert West. I don't think that people should overlook it. I think that this is the ultimate conspiracy playing out before our very eyes. If they can get elements of the population to go at each other's throats and go after celebrities, well, the whole thing's a show. And so these are the types of things where the government can also bring the clamp down, and we tend to also, as you know, go from Republican to Democrat, Democrat, Republican in kind of a back and forth fashion. So nobody should be calling for a full-on police state in light of these things that are taking place and to have certain things done to their political enemies because they're pumped up because it can always be done to them on the other side. And these are typically how things tend to flow. We can have one president sign an executive order, which stays in writing, and the next person, of course, continues it or renews it. We've seen this with the Patriot Act. We've seen this with other executive orders, despite the fact that people are debating the media on the left and the right about the differences between these candidates and the next election and the results of that election. And it's like, yes, elections are a better way to go about the old world way of just kingdom versus kingdom, but we also have boxed ourselves into being under the same kingdom under the guise that these elections are actually legitimate. So as we finish off this article here, and I'm going to be covering more news and information. The wave of these devices sent through the mail, others by hand, has prompted an intense nationwide investigation into whether people who have criticized the president have been vilified by the right or being targeted. At least 10 devices have been sent and discovered this week. So I've seen also, and I've talked about this with Portland, there is a general rise in just people wanting to dox each other and go at each other's throat, and then a retaliation. Will they do this? Will you do something stronger? So there is an element of this going on, and social media has promoted certain characters like Alex Jones and others during a period in which they went from shining the light on decent issues to scapegoating the problems on certain groups within the nation and manufacturing certain conspiracies. And Hamburger Gate, which is what I coined it because I'm not trying to flag the bots, is one example of it. That particular situation in Washington, D.C., or other things, we've seen a rise of this. And so really the concern is a dystopian reality or future. You know, in an earlier video today, we talked about it's not so much about Larkin, and there's maybe some criticism about him. I don't know him, but I know what he linked to, and he's not the source of that. Graham Smith is in Japan. He's the one with the child. He's the one coming across text messages where someone's discussing the fact they observe him with the child and his license plate number, and they're talking to the alleged campaign manager of Adam Kokesh. And so we can see that we have this rise in psychotic, sociopathic, obsessive behavior where people are not looking in the proper directions as to who runs the show. So, you know, with the amount of messaging that's been out there with regards to civil unrest and conflict within, there are people that are crazy enough that will do things. And for people to go around saying it's just a conspiracy or it's just a manufactured event when it's suitable for them is irresponsible. People need to realize that even if you have a political position that's conservative, and even if you have a political position that's liberal or on the left, there's ways to go about dealing with your issues. And a lot of people have been boxed into a groupthink of entirely blaming the whole other side, without understanding there's a place for criticism. There's a place for peaceful dialogue. If people run around thinking that they can attack people that are journalists and running around, it's like encouraging things on the other side. The irresponsible actions of Antifa in Portland did nothing but encourage people on the other side to show them they were going to take over the streets. And so their battle really came about, or is about, right to passage and not being blocked. And even though it's about principle, it's a manufactured stage conflict of a population that allows itself to get boxed into this left-right. Okay, they're going to come and do this, or we're going to come and try to stop them. And then we're going to do it every month, sometimes on a full moon, sometimes on a new moon. And you ask yourself, after watching all this madness in Portland, Oregon from Antifa on the other side, Patriot Prayer and the Proud Boys, people have the right to protest, people have the right to free speech, people shouldn't be stopped from walking on the sidewalk. But yet we just see a continuation of just repeating the same behavior, and then people upping the ante and sometimes carrying weapons. And so we have the weaponized internet, and then we have the weaponized hand. And I'm here to tell you that this is some craziness. So I just want to bring this to your attention in light that I just brought up to you, that I was just picking up on this predictive programming memeing of media figures being attacked. And whether it's manufactured or not, it's certainly the type of thing that can raise the hair on a number of people out there that are speaking their truth today.